Warning, imminent temporal quantum event. Commencing with Emergency Landing Protocol 1. Incorrect temporal signature for current Time Lord pilots.
So I said to him, Dalek or not, you still owe me 50 credits.
That story always gets to me.
Hey, do you notice something odd about our TARDIS?
Now that you mention it, yeah. Now this doesn't look like our TARDIS.
Or sound like our TARDIS?
Taylor, look at the chronometer. It says it's the year 2014.
That's not right. This is 2032. And look, the podcast Numerotron says it's only episode 18. We're on episode 215, right?
Yes, we are. Something, or someone, has brought us back in time to an earlier podcast era.
Warning, temporal displacement event. Incorrect temporal signature for current Time Lord pilots.
Thanks, TARDIS. We just figured that out.
Aw, the old TARDIS voice. I've missed her.
Think, Taylor. We must have dealt with this before. What happened with the old us who faced this particular crisis?
I actually don't remember this.
Yeah, neither do I.
That's impossible. If we've traveled back in time, we must have dealt with this in the past.
K9, come here, I need you.
Error. No K9 system detected.
Hey, where's K9?
Matt, this is further in the past. You haven't built him yet.
Oh, my doggy?
Sorry, buddy. Hey, you know what? I think this is one of our Christmas podcasts. Look, there's tinsel all over the control room.
Yeah, and a wreath on the door.
Also, it's snowing in here. TARDIS, can you clean up the snow?
TARDIS snow removal process initiated.
That's better.
Christmas on board the TARDIS. This far back, I feel like something important happened this year.
I'll get it. Hello?
Hello, sir. My name is Timothy. We're singing carols for our local orphanage. We would gladly take donations, as we have no food and would enjoy eating the week of Christmas.
Who was that?
Tiny insurance salesman. Regardless, we have bigger problems.
Temporal inclusion active. Separate time zone errors currently entangled. Quantum separation required.
Oh, good. An explanation. It seems like our podcasting time zone era has quantum entangled with this one, thereby causing our future selves, you and I, to appear here in the distant past.
Those poor podcast listeners. They have to listen through iTunes and watch it all on a YouTube channel.
I'm sure they can't wait until they have 5D holographic interfaces to experience the two of us. You know, we're a lot funnier when we're beamed directly into their cerebral cortexes.
Wait, they can't see us?
Nope, just the basic 2D video cards on YouTube.
Awesome! Time to strip out of these pants and relax.
Taylor, just because they can't see us doesn't mean I can't see you. Put your pants back on!
Sorry, dude.
Alright, let's just focus on the task at hand. Input the coordinates for temporal quantum separation.
On it.
I'll get it. Hello?
Hello again, good sir. We were hoping we could sing some more carols for you. And just like we were, before you mistakenly shut the door on our faces.
Who was it?
Some malnourished midgets looking for a handout? Never mind them. Have you calculated the coordinates?
Yep. Input complete. Open the time vents and reignite the quantum field regenerator.
I've got my hands full of getting the entanglement extractor initialized. Can you get that?
Look, this isn't the best time. Who is...
Look, we're not asking for much. We're pitiful orphans who have nothing to eat. Now, I'm going to ask you nicely before I cut someone's face off.
I gave it the office.
Alright, I think I've got it. Prepare for quantum entanglement separation.
System
I'm excited to get
online
home.
ready.
I missed all the wonderful things from our time zone era.
What, like holographic interfaces, the transmats to Mars, universal healthcare?
More like the 32nd season of Community, and Chevy is finally returning.
Here we go. Returning to the future in 3,
2.
1.
Temporal entanglement redacted.
Matt, we did it! We got back to our time from the future.
I've never been so happy to see this wonderful machine.
I will miss the Dolphin King of Earth, though. He was very sweet, and a lovely singer.
Right, yeah, he was great. You know, except for the whole eating of the Jews thing he had going on for dinner that night.
Yeah, I thought that was a little weird, too.
Huh. Wonder who that could be. Yellow?
Get him!
Oh, my eye!
You're listening to Voices from the Vortex, Episode 18, Do You Who What I Who? Broadcasting December 6th, 2014.
Broadcasting by way of Gallifrey. Stand by for podcast. This is Voices from Vortex.
Hey guys, welcome. This is Matt from Voices from the Vortex.
And this is Taylor!
Welcome to our holiday episode. Woohoo!
Woohoo! Yeah!
I don't know if you know this or not, Taylor, but every time a bell rings, a Dalek gets its wings.
Aw.
Attaboy, Clarence. Attaboy.
Yeah. How heartwarming in this festive season.
In this festive season. So happy holidays, buddy.
Yeah, you too.
Merry
I'm really
Christmas.
excited.
Happy Hanukkah.
Yeah.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Sure.
Way to be solstice. Have an awesome Life Day. I don't know
Sure.
if you're a Star Wars fan or not.
That would
but there
work,
it
yeah.
is.
Well, we've got some good stuff for you guys on the podcast.
This is an
month.
amazing podcast today.
Yes. We have a pretty interesting Classic Who story we're reviewing.
Yes. Our
today.
first Sylvester McCoy review.
Yes. A little episode called Dragonfire. Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of festive. A little ice and
World.
snow. Mm-hmm.
Little
Yes.
could have used a good Mr. Freeze moment with Arnold Schwarzenegger, but that's okay.
Sure.
That's all right.
Yeah.
We're also going to finish up our red carpet Gallifrey review, our interviews today, and that's with I believe you interviewed Weeping Angel Betty.
Yes, she was quite interesting to talk to, and we'll
Indeed.
listen to that a little bit later.
That'll be good.
Yes.
Good. We answer one of your fan questions, important questions about whether or not holidays are celebrated all through Doctor Who.
Yes, and we also got some Headline Gallifrey coming up.
Oh, some interesting stories, some big questions of what we may or may not see coming soon. So,
And I know you said this last month, but this is the best sponsor we have ever had.
this is the best sponsor we have. Guys, we have
Maybe
put
a little
together-
biased.
We are, but that's okay.
Okay. But
We're
it's
allowed
a
to be.
really, really good sponsor.
We put together the world's greatest collection of Christmas music and bring it to you from us, the two dudes from Gallifrey.
So
The
stay
voices
tuned
from
for
the
that.
Vortex. Have fun with that one.
Yes.
So, hey, you know what, Taylor? I think it's time to get this holiday podcast started.
I do too. Let's jingle those bells.
Let's flip those tinsel switches. Blink those time lights.
Turn the wreath.
Turn the wreath. All right. Guys, have fun, and we'll see you at the other side.
See ya.
Voices from the Vortex is brought to you by
We, the two dudes from Gallifrey, present a collection of Whovian Christmas classics. O Starry Night, a Christmas tribute to Doctor Who. Sung by Taylor and produced by Matt. Warm your holiday with such songs as O Little Town of Gallifrey.
Oh, little town of Gallifrey, how fierce we see thee burn.
Exterminate.
Exterminate! We must kill the Doctor!
Hark, the weeping angels sing.
Hark the weeping angels sing. Don't look away, don't even blink.
Your family will love gathering around the sonic tree and listening to such great Christmas hits like The Little Empty Boy.
Hello, he asked me, are you my mama? He wore a gas mask too, are you my mama? He pointed right at me, are you my mama? It made me want to flee, are you my mama? You my mama, you my mama.
We Three Docs.
We three docs from Gallifrey are 10, 11, and one says no more. Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, ending the great time war.
Cloister Bells.
Cloister bells, the TARDIS on alert. The universe is ending soon and it is gonna hurt. Dashing around time, saving you and me. The Doctor battles evil things and is home in time for tea. Hey!
No other collection has captured all these great hits. Your every regeneration will enjoy such famous songs like John Hurt the War Doctor,
You know Hartnell and Troughton, Pertwee and Baker, Davis and Baker, McCoy and McGann. But do you recall the most forgotten Doctor of all? John Hurt is the War Doctor. He saved planet Gallifrey. And if you saw his mustache, you would even say it's gray. Like a Cyberman.
But wait, there's more. Order in the next 2,000 years and you'll receive these other favorites like Frosty the Cyberman, Silent Night, I Saw Mommy Kissing Rassilon, God Rest Ye Merry Whispermen, Grandma Got Run Over by the TARDIS, Omega is Coming to Town, and more. Order now for your copy of Oh Starry Night, a Christmas tribute to Doctor Who, for you and your family. But hurry, before this amazing deal reaches Trenzalore. The 12 Who's of Christmas.
On the 12th day of Christmas, my TARDIS gave to me 12, breathing deeply, 11, wearing fezzes, 10, the Doctor Donna, 9, ears a wiggling, 8, had amnesia, 7, juggled ball, 6, strangled Perry, 5, wore celery, 4, had a dog, 3, kicked some ass, 2, played the flute, and Hartnell landed back in 63.
Buy now.
Happy Christmas to all of you at home.
Headlines from Gallifrey.
Michelle Gomez spoke with Doctor Who magazine about the status of the Mistress, and it seems positive she will return next season. Quote, yes is my answer. I'll be back. Can I say that? Am I allowed? If not, well, I guess we'll have to see how she's received. End quote.
I liked Missy. I can't wait for her to return.
I do too. I don't know if I don't know. Next season seems pretty soon, unless this is going to be like Capaldi's thing. It's like he's always battling the master, like every season.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Hell, make her the villain every single episode for an entire season.
We laughed when he had a third Doctor-ish type outfit.
Maybe there's
now
more
look
to
what
it.
they're doing.
There might be a little more to it, yeah.
Yeah.
Peter Capaldi has revealed that he turned down the opportunity to become the 8th Doctor. While speaking to an audience at a special event in London for the launch of the Series 8 DVD release, Capaldi explained that he turned down the chance to play his dream role because he knew he wouldn't be cast as the Doctor. Quote, I turned down the opportunity. I loved it so much that I didn't want to have the disappointment of going for something that I would never get, end quote. The role, of course, went to Paul McGann.
That's crazy. That's really crazy to think about.
Different kind of Doctor, I think it would have been.
Oh, yeah, definitely. There's always that, you play that what if game. Well, what if it had been him, would the movie have been, more critically received and all this other stuff, so...
Well, they wanted to go with a younger Doctor. They wanted to have that sort of young, dashing about, and the kiss, of course.
Yes, of course. And oh, how that was not popular.
And yet now there's nothing but fandom for the Rose and 10.
Oh, yes. It's everywhere. Stephen Moffat stated the viewing figures for Series 8 looked good during a Royal Television Society engagement in London. Quote, the figures are the same, he said. If by ratings you mean the number of people who watch the show, they are the same. The number of people who watch Doctor Who on iPlayer has trebled. The way people watch it has changed, but the viewing figures have remained the same. End quote.
I think BBC's starting to finally figure it out that people aren't watching it traditionally. They're looking at it, they're watching it, online, they're watching it on iPlayer if you're in England. And that's huge because maybe that'll kind of spark an idea that, we should do more webisodes and we should put stuff on Hulu and maybe other such things like this.
I think everybody needs to figure that out. I mean, there's so many good shows that have been canceled just because they didn't get good ratings or good, viewing figures, and traditionally through TV, and it just doesn't make any sense now to even count just those. I mean, there's so many different ways to watch TV now.
I agree. Not just TV, but like through media, through portals like smartphones and tablets, on a Roku or a Chrome stick.
Speaking at a charity event for the London Lesbian and Gay Switchboard, Capaldi admitted he wanted to return to the 60s roundels and an older version of the TARDIS interior. Quote, it's got an Edwardian look about it. Not the actual console, it's the bits and pieces lying around. Cricket bats, maps and odds and ends and things. There's a Jules Verne quality to it. I would like to make it more Bauhaus.
I like the idea of putting the roundels back in more definitively than we've seen. I don't know though. Like the old show, the old TARDIS looks so iconic for Doctor Who, but then we've moved on. The Matt Smith TARDIS has just looked phenomenal, and I think Capaldi's version of it looks great too. I mean, change it, sure, do stuff with it, but you don't need to return to something that old and that simple because we can do better.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a change of the TARDIS, but I don't think going back exactly to that kind of thing. I mean, he's kind of got that already. He took Matt Smith's TARDIS and he threw some bookshelves in there and a chair and
blackboards. He's
got a desk down there and there's stuff lying around. But yeah, I think a new TARDIS wouldn't be too bad. But yeah, I do agree with you on that.
Moffat recently confirmed that Capaldi will be returning for Series 9, however there is no confirmation for Jenna Coleman as the companion. Rumors have begun to run rampant about the possibility for a new companion, and even one who isn't from Earth.
About time.
Yeah, if I could cast the perfect person to travel with the Doctor, it would be someone from the future. So they're not constantly going, oh, Doctor, what does this mean? Oh, no, that could be bad. But someone who gets time travel and understands, wait a minute, this all kind of makes sense in a kooky sort of way. And then it would be someone who isn't a young girl. Like, that's all we ever have, and that's okay, but I'd love to see a male. I'd love to see a buddy, or even like a student, someone, a little more testosterone on the TARDIS, and see how that plays.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so many opportunities for different kinds of companions. And I understand why the companion is usually... First of all, it's female, so that way they can have a female lead also, so that it's not just... They don't just do males. But at the same time, the reason they do it for somebody from Earth is because... And who's from the present day, and is so, so we know. They go, hey, Doctor, what's that? And really, he's telling us.
Right.
So I understand why they do it, but you could save so much time, just by glazing over some of that stuff. And
well, the Doctor could just say what it is.
Somebody a little more interesting character, and yeah.
And why do you need some other character on the show to go, hey, what's that machine do? I don't understand. Well, the Doctor could just be doing whatever he's doing at the machine and go, I can't wait to finish working on this machine, for it erases time. Clearly, Doctor. I thought it opened doors. Like, well, that too. You don't... It could be shtick. You don't have to have exposition girl. You don't have to have exposition girl every other episode.
Exposition girl.
And character archetype man.
All right. Lastly, we're all excited, but here's what we know about the Christmas special so far. Here we go. Okay. We know we got Nick Frost as Santa. We know Jenna Coleman's going to be there. She's returning as Clara. She'll be there as Clara. Is this her last episode? We don't know. We'll see. There was a clip. Let's talk about the clip.
Okay.
There was a clip from the BBC Children in Need show. It's Santa seems like he's like almost at odds with the Doctor. Almost. It seemed to be button heads. But Moffat, I guess he's reassured us that he's not evil. He's a good Santa.
Good Santa.
And he's not the enemy or the monster for the episode. I'm assuming the monsters were those slimy looking guys.
Here's my favorite thing about that clip, though, and I just want to throw this out there. Was it just me, or was Santa and his elves getting really cheeky with Clara? They're like, why'd you stop believing in me, Clara? And she's all, because I grew up, because I turned 12. And then the elves are over there like, what? What, you think your parents just one day decide to grow, we're just gonna go and give you presents all this one day out of the year, because we love you. Grow up, girl. And I'm like, they're like dissing on her. Like, you expect Santa to go like, boy! And then she'd be all like, well, your mama's so fat, she fits in Santa's bag. And they would go, ooh, it's on. Like, there was going to be a dance off.
Really interesting. Santa shows up at the end of Death in Heaven, and you're like, oh, this should be fun. And then you watch this clip, and you're like, Santa, what is your deal?
I just love the idea that Santa is completely batshit awesome. Like, he's just like, what is he doing here? We don't know. Bananas! But Santa Claus is here.
Yeah. Well, according to Nick Frost, Santa, he has this Santa sort of be very gangster, like almost like a gangster, in that you won't really know if he's good or evil. He kind of wants to dance that line, because this is really interesting for them to do, is to actually have this fictional idea of Santa Claus as he's a real character, he's a real person, and so it's fun to see Moffat sort of, well, what's my take on Santa? Is it going to be normal, or is he going to put some kind of interesting little twist on it?
Well, and this is what kills me. They do fictional characters. They're doing Santa, who's a fictional character. They did They did Robin Hood, who's a fictional character. But heaven forbid they do a crossover with Sherlock, who, fictional or not, they have an entire cast and show already paid to do that job.
Right.
Damn it, Moffat!
Alright, I think we have everything.
Let's check. Popcorn?
Check.
Drinks?
Check.
Candy?
Ooh, Twizzlers and Mike and Ike's double check.
Okay, I think we've got everything.
Oh no. No.
What's wrong?
We forgot something. Something important.
What? We have everything. What could we possibly forgotten?
Autopilot.
The space trading colony on the dark side of the planet Spartos. Space travelers stopped there for supplies. I've been picking up a faint tracking signal for some time. I think there's something interesting going on there, Mel.
No, of course I haven't forgotten you. Oh, Mel and the doctor. Here, you're not the doctor.
I've regenerated. The difference is purely perceptual.
You are the chosen ones. The elite. Specially selected to join our force of mercenaries and create fear and terror wherever you go. We were tricked.
Hope the dragon gets you in the night.
Dragon? What dragon?
It's just a legend. There's supposed to be a terrifying dragon living in the ice passages underneath Iceworld.
I knew there must be a reason why you brought us here. You want to see the dragon, don't you?
No, really, Mel, it's fascinating. Travelers claim to have seen it throughout the centuries.
The Doctor and Mel take a detour to the planet Slartovast, where they encounter Iceworld, a city run by a megalomaniac bent on returning home to conquer his homeworld. And finally we reach the very first Sylvester McCoy that we have watched.
It was good. I enjoyed Sylvester McCoy. You know, I haven't really gotten to see much of his stuff. I've only seen a couple of clips here and there, and this was sort of my first episode of his, and it didn't disappoint.
It didn't. You know, the funny thing about Sylvester McCoy is he's a bit of a comedian. He's a clown. So all of his stuff is very clownish and a lot of fumbling around, a lot of
physical comedy bits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's good. You want that because, you know, Doctor Who gets so serious sometimes with their actors. And it's good to have someone who he was taking it seriously, but he wasn't taking it seriously.
Right. Well, and it's funny with him because he'll go from like the super clowning around and some shtick and some bit, and then like at the end of the episode, the end of the story, he's got some big dramatic monologue, some real bit where he's just like the most serious he's ever been.
It's very true. He delivers that very well. Matt Smith, I think, took a lot from him. A lot of
I would agree.
Flailing and moving.
I thought this episode was it was interesting that they just called it Iceworld. Like, I mean, it had a name, but they never really used it a lot. It was always Iceworld.
Right. Well, and
not
that's
very creative.
Because everything was made of ice. This was the big thing about Iceworld is that it was a prison planet, and it was run by an evil warlord. He sort of ran the thing through slavery. He would take in people and wipe their minds and put them in cryo-freeze, and the process would clean out all their memories. And so when they get out of cryo-freeze, you know, he would own them. Ha ha ha, you're mine now. And very, very twirling of the mustache evil.
Yeah. He didn't he have like ice powers too? He would like touch somebody. And
he was like, his temperature. His like internal core temperature. He was a creature that like could only exist in the freezing cold temperatures, and that's why he had to get inside that pod bay all the time, where they closed the door and it would drop his.
Now wait a minute. This is sounding awfully familiar. Where have I heard of this before?
No.
A villain whose core temperature is so low.
Right.
He has to keep himself cold.
Right. I don't know.
I don't know. Could it be...
No, don't say
Mr.
it.
Freeze!
Ah!
This was so Mr. Freeze, this whole episode.
It was very much so the Mr. Freeze episode.
Yeah, I mean, it was Iceworld, but it was also kind of a... It reminded me a lot of Batman and Robin too, like, because all the people... Because this was like the 80s when this episode came out, so it was that 80s futuristic, like what they thought the future was going to be, all the outfits and everything.
They wore those hats. I loved those hats. Little World War I hats with the little spike on the top.
Yes. And then you had the bad guy who was like the Mr. Freeze, and I'm really disappointed there weren't more cold puns.
Well, I think the BBC was trying to maybe not camp it up that much. I mean, we did have Sylvester McCoy literally flipping over the edge of a chasm for no apparently good reason.
Okay, let's talk about this scene because we watched this. And you told me about this. You're like, he does this for no reason. And I'm like, well, there's got to be a reason. It's like, no, there's no reason.
So he's wandering through the ice caves, and he comes across... So I think he came across... He looks down, and he sees, like, a ledge or something that he could reach. So he comes across this like... It's a railing in a cave, by the way. A railing in this hidden ice cave. And so he decides... He even, like, shrugs and goes, whoa, why not? And he decides to flip over and try to climb down on his umbrella, but he ends up like holding on for dear life for no good reason.
And that's funny because we've seen that scene before in The Name of the Doctor. That's the scene they have where it's like that's the part where Clara, that Echo, was trying to help him. So it was funny to see that like in the real episode and wonder what was going on there. And it was just nothing. It was just random.
One of the other things about this episode was that it was Ace's first episode. Ace! She, guys...
I'm sorry, you scream your own name as your catchphrase? What are you, a Pokemon?
Yes. Ace is the last companion of Classic Who. Mel was the companion right before it, and as we see in this episode, Mel is... she is fierce with her screams.
Yes, she is. She's the stereotypical... when people go, oh, the companions of the classic era, all they did was just scream at the monsters and go, Doctor, save me. Well, this one, Mel was kind of... That's maybe what they were thinking of when they made those snap judgments.
Poor Mel.
Because her scream was definitely... It was very stereotypical, like, horror, almost horror scream. And
yeah.
I mean, it was good. We got our money's worth with her. She did a really good job of screaming.
But then we get kind of offset to her. We get Ace, right? And Ace is this young girl. She's 16, but she lies and says she's 18, and she's all about like rebelling and fighting and being all filled with emotion as kids do, and rah. And she's the perfect companion, I think, for Sylvester McCoy's Doctor, who's sort of a doting professor anyway. He's a teacher.
I mean, the very first scene we see with her, one of the very first scenes is she's working as a waitress at Ice World in this sort of little... It's a prison planet, but there's like a little malt shop.
Right. So people live on this planet and come to this planet and trade and do stuff on this planet, which really isn't a planet. It's a spaceship that's on a planet, and the spaceship is like... It looks like a city, and people come and live there, but secretly it is a spaceship with a prison, and the only way that it'll ever take off is if the dragon's fire is found. And it's this really convoluted plot that when you start tearing it apart makes about as much sense as series 6 of the new Who. So you're just like, okay, just do whatever the hell it wants, and let's just get to the end. But yes, so Ace works at this malt shop. She's all upset.
And she gets mad at the lady who works there. And she like dumps it. She goes, oh, you ever had a milkshake poured on your head? And she dumps it on her head.
And she's like, she's all pissed, but like it was almost uncalled for. Like, what happened?
Yeah. It was like she went from like a 2 to a 10 and
well, that escalated
like no time
quickly.
Yeah.
Story of Ace.
And she's got like I knew this from like seeing stuff on Tumblr, but it's like the first episode. She's like, "Hey, I got these like pipe bombs in my backpack,
Nitro 9."
All right.
She does.
Like, okay, that's real serious. Okay.
She makes these explosives so she can be a badass punk girl with the really big puffy jacket that's got all like the patches on it, so you know she's a rebel.
Yeah.
Oh, Ace. And then, of course, you haven't seen him yet. You haven't seen any of the stuff with him. But this is the return of Glitz, who was back in Colin Baker's era. He was there during...
pirate.
he's a pirate. He's...
With, like, a little earring.
Right?
Yeah.
He has absolutely one of the best lines of the whole episode, where where'd the money go, Glitz? And he goes, where all matter ends up going, down the tubes. And just this slapstick, shticky kind of response to things. That's Glitz.
He reminded me a lot of like Captain Jack, like in his very first story. The way he's kind of like he was kind of like he's a pirate, and Captain Jack was like doing a bad thing, like he was trying to sell the warhead or whatever. And then he ends up becoming the friend of him. Like that's kind of how I pictured him a little bit.
And he kind of is. I mean, he's sort of that dodgy character that even the first time we see him, that's why Mel kept saying one of his dodgy deals, because they're like super skeet on the DL kind of. Oh, what's he done now? Sold his crew into slavery. Of course he did. Wah 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 wah.
Oh, Glitz.
But it's kind of sad too, because the Doctor does very little to interfere with this. Like, you know, we talk a lot about the Doctor being a character who goes out on his own to, try to save people, and New Who, he's all about stopping the injustices. But in these earlier episodes, the earlier stories, you know, Glitz is a character who just sold his crew into slavery, and the Doctor still teams up with Glitz because of his interest in the map and the dragon's treasure and everything. So
yes, we'll get to the dragon in a second.
Right.
It is called Dragon Fire, after all.
It is. But it's interesting that the Doctor, and you've seen it with some of the old Who, he doesn't necessarily intervene when things are bad. Go all the way back to Enemy of the World. He doesn't really try and stop this guy who's taking over the world, because he doesn't really see it as being bad. Not in the way New Who would see it as bad.
Yeah, he wants to help. He wants to help the other guy. They asked for his help, so he's like, okay, I'll see what I can do.
Yeah.
And really, even he didn't want to do that. He was like, no, you can't make me pretend to be him. I don't want to do it.
Right. And I think this is the continuation of this, is we see the Doctor, again, he's more interested in the treasure and the map than he is about the fact that this person he's working with sells his crew into slavery. And this place that they're in buys people. Like, it seems a little anti-Doctor, but I guess this is that alien morality that he's got.
Right. Let's talk about the dragon. Okay, so I was expecting like a dragon, but it's like a guy in like a suit walking around. I mean, it was bad. Yeah. Rawr.
I'm a dragon. Rawr.
Rawr.
Well, that's classic.
He's like, hang on, I got he's like a can of hairspray and like a match. He's like,
the dragon. Well, and the dragon, as it turns out, was just a piece of the puzzle, a piece of the ship.
And he was friendly. He was a nice dragon.
He was very friendly.
He helped them.
He just wanted to protect the one thing that could send this this evil warlord back home. Something he was afraid of.
Yeah. And they had this. There was this funny moment in the show that I remember, where the mother who Ace dumped the milkshake on, she had this kid, and the kid, it was like a little girl, the cutesy little girl in like a dress, almost so cartoonish, and she like wanders off, probably like into the prison and down into the catacombs and the caves and stuff.
Just kind of
yeah, do la la la. She's skipping and has a giant lollipop. Anyway,
she did.
So she
had a balloon in one of them.
Yeah, holding a balloon. So I think maybe it was a balloon for real. But anyway, you're like, oh geez, what's gonna happen to this girl? Because I'm too used to like some other shows where some kid wanders off, like Fringe or something. Some kid wanders off, and you're like, "Oh, this kid's gonna die."
Right. Nothing is
she
safe.
like meets the dragon, and it's like, hi, Mr. Dragon.
And like they end up holding hands and
like,
walking into the sunset.
Yeah, they become good friends. It's like a Frankenstein and the little girl
best
moment.
They should have called Child Protective Services on that mother.
Yeah, somebody really... That was the worst mother ever.
She's horrible.
And they also do that bit where, like, she's the only one who sees the TARDIS disappear and appear. She's like, oh, I know a little secret. A little smug face at the end.
I wanted to mention a couple things. There's some continuity to this episode that the Seventh Doctor really kind of plays on. Ace mentions that there was a time storm, that she was swooped up from her school and her home in Perryvale, and she was brought to this place, and she doesn't care to go back, which is interesting because that's all stuff that they revisit down the road. We find out more about what actually happened to her in the story Ghostlight and also in the Curse of Fenric. So these are two pieces of Ace's puzzle that do get answered, and these are some pretty large story arcs, as those two that I just mentioned, Ghostlight and Curse of Fenric, they're in the third season for McCoy. This is the second season. So I mean, these were stories they were plotting for over a year to kind of tell the story of Ace and how she goes from being a teenager who's also a bit of an orphan, and how she ends up in the future, and then when she's with the Doctor, how she meets things and people and stuff to help explain her past and what had happened to her. So this is some interesting continuity to all this. And then, of course, the insistence that she keeps calling the Doctor the Professor. She keeps calling him the Professor because he's a teacher. And as they go through all of McCoy's run with her, you find more and more there's a reason why she does that. That he is a professor, that he is teaching her, and that he's teaching her not just about life, but about herself, and that he's taken very Matt Smith, he's taken upon himself to try to figure this girl out. She doesn't make sense.
Well, because that was kind of random. She just started calling him the Professor, and there didn't really seem to be a reason why she was calling him that. You know, she didn't overhear Mel calling him that, or Glitz or something. She just started calling him that, and maybe that's just because she thought he looked professor-y. I don't know.
Well, and that's actually stuff that they kind of mention or they touch on later on in other episodes. That good. when they visit her past, when they visit things that have to do with her, and how a lot of the things she experienced in life, she sees him as her professor. She sees him as that character, and it's because she's looking for that. It's very interesting. McCoy's time on the TARDIS is very timey-wimey.
Another funny thing about Ace, too, is her real name is Dorothy Gale.
Yeah.
Which is funny because she's not home, you know, she got swept up in a time storm and taken to... I mean... Just they hit you over the head with it, pretty much.
There's a big mallet that on the very far end of the mallet it says something like, you know, comedy wham. Just hit you over the head with it.
But this was good. This was a good episode, and I enjoyed it
very much. So I'm glad this was our sort of introduction to Sylvester McCoy, because it's a good goodbye to Mel. It's a great. Hello to Ace. It's a good round-out adventure that's not too over the top and kind of gives a little bit of the seeds for later. So this was a good one to start with.
It was good. I have to say it wasn't the best. I mean, it wasn't the best episode of Doctor Who I've seen. You know, there were a lot of parts that were kind of real super cheesy, and I feel like some of the pyrotechnics were a little cheesy. So, you know, they like blew open a door, and it was just like... I don't know, some of it seemed real, and this was, I mean, that's the 80s for you. Some of it was just real 80s, so. But yeah, so I don't have anything else, so final thoughts on this episode?
Hey, the Seventh Doctor is always going to be remembered as the beginning of the end. It's a mix of good and bad stories. This story, however, gives us a decent look into the nature of the darker Doctor, which McCoy would eventually become. There's a decent script, some fair acting, and some incredible talent. So I'm going to say this is a story on the top of the pile. Yeah,
I really enjoyed watching this one. had some really great Sylvester McCoy moments. You know, I really hadn't got to see him yet, so it was good to see some of those moments. You know, the one with the umbrella, as dumb as it was hilarious, and he really sells it. You know, you don't know why he's doing it, but gosh, he sure is doing it. And then when he gets serious at the end, and he's talking to the warlord, and you know, the big dramatic moment at the end. I mean, he really delivers those lines fantastically. The episode, it's fun, it's campy, you know, and that's kind of that 80s Doctor Who. You know, if you like fun and campy stuff, this is the stuff to watch. This is the sort of the 80s, and then, you know, without the I didn't have the context of who Mel was, and her, you know, her leaving. It was still touching. They did it was a great job. It was well written. You know, I was still pretty touched at their leaving, and then Ace coming to join him. It was a happy moment. You know, and without any of the context, it was still touching. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Calculating. Voices from the Vortex gives Dragonfire 6 out of 10.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this amazing event. I'm Taylor for the Voices from the Vortex, and we're here at the red carpet on Gallifrey, as the Citadel for the Time Lords has been opened up for one night to all the creatures of the universe. With the return of Gallifrey, this marks the end of the last great Time War and the beginning of a new age. Oh no, don't blink! No one blink! It's a weeping angel on the red carpet right in front of me!
It's okay. You can blink.
But you're a weeping angel. Don't blink. If you blink, the angel can move and get...
No, that's an old wives' tale. We can move just fine, see? I can move. I can even light up a cigarette. Hang on.
Wow. Okay, well, it's nice to meet you.
My name is Betty.
Betty. So, you're a weeping angel?
Honey, please. I don't weep anymore. After all the exes who have come and gone in my life, believe me, at some point you say to yourself, just stop weeping and you better start moving on.
Of course. Yes. So I see you've had a poor time with relationships in the past.
I have 3 ex-husbands. All of them are deadbeats. They come into my life with all these promises. They stick around until I pump out a little weeping cherub, then off they go with some Jadoon or Slovene or something. Men, they are pigs.
Pigs? Like the pig creatures the Daleks make?
No, like the pigs who sleep with you, then dump you for a younger angel. Look at me! I'm 42 years old, and I can't compete with some 18-year-old giggling angel hussy who takes the father of one of my babies.
Aw, well, I'm sure there's someone out there for you. Plenty of fish in the sea, as they say.
Sweetie, I've dated fish. Half. They're just like any other creature, attracted to a younger fin.
Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Sure thing, sweetheart.
One of the adventures from the Doctor in the recent past has been his sudden time shift back to 1968, thanks to a touch from a weeping angel. In fact, I'm fairly certain that was one of the first adventures the Doctor had with the weeping angels.
Oh, it was his voice, definitely. Though my second husband, Ralph, he was a Time Lord. He would go on all the time about how the Time Lords could master time and space, but every time I would ask him to do some laundry around the apartment, he was too busy to help. Busy my weeping ass! He'd sit on that damn couch all day long and watch Wheel of Fortune. Get out there and get a time job, you lazy bum!
Oh, well,
What would you say is the most important thing you've learned in your life?
How to avoid an awkward situation.
How so?
Well, there was this one time back in college when a sorority sister of mine asked me to come pick her up 5 planets away. I flew all night to go get her drunk ass, and when I got there, she was up in her room with one of the professors. She says, "Oh, don't worry, I don't need anyone to take me home. Richard is going to let me stay over at his place." I really gotta quit these damn things.
As you say, smoking is bad for your health.
But anyway, so I tell her, I'm like, "Honey, he's only letting you stay because his wife is out of town."
That does seem awkward.
Oh, that's not even the half of it. Turns out that guy ended up getting a divorce a year later and married his stepdaughter. And it turns out that his stepdaughter was a Yeti. Good thing you didn't end up with that winner, right?
Yeah, good thing.
I mean, talk about a hairy situation.
Wow, that's a pun.
Right? I'm sure she was a monster in bed.
Wonder if there's a Cyberman or something I can interview.
She really had no good time with younger guys.
Well, yeah. Thanks for all the insight. This is Taylor saying goodbye from Gallifrey and the red carpet. Lawson?
Welcome to the fan questions section of the podcast. This is the part of the podcast where what we do is we answer your fan questions. You send us the questions of the things that are burning in your mind, things you want to know from the 2 dudes of Gallifrey. And what do? Why, we answer them, of course. Taylor, what is this month's question from a fan?
This month's fan question is from Tom Hafner from Wentzville, Missouri. Tom asks, has the Doctor ever had a companion who didn't celebrate Christmas, but something else instead? I.e. Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, solstice, etc.?
Well, that's a very good question.
Yeah. I don't know. Honestly.
In New Who, no. Every companion seems
I know
to
that
have,
for sure, yeah.
Every companion seems to have celebrated Christmas of some sort, usually in the Christmas special.
Yeah.
In Old Who, there were a lot of aliens that traveled with the Doctor. So there have been probably some characters that didn't celebrate Christmas because they were from other planets.
Uh-huh.
The Fourth Doctor traveled with Nyssa, who was the Princess of Traken. That's a planet and another solar system somewhere.
Uh-huh.
So I'm assuming they don't celebrate Christmas. He also traveled with a boy named Adric, who's from another dimension.
Mm-hmm.
And they
Romana.
probably didn't celebrate Christmas either.
Romana, who is a Time Lord. Time Lady.
Right. Time Ladies and Time Lords would not have celebrated Christmas.
No.
And the Fifth Doctor once traveled with a chameleon android.
I don't know. I don't know
There
what that celebrated, but yeah.
Robotica, I guess.
Robonica.
Robonica.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, there's plenty of characters who weren't human, but apparently all the humans do. You're right. There's a serious lack of Muslims and Jews in Doctor Who.
Well, and I think that may have something to do with the culture of England. You know, I think most of them celebrate Christmas over there. I don't think Hanukkah is as big of a thing as it is here in America.
Really?
Well, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. But I would think that Hanukkah is probably more celebrated over here than in a smaller country of England.
Suffice it to say, it seems like Christmas is a big deal over there.
Yeah. Well, this is as well as fan questions. This is Taylor's guesses at geography and history.
I just assumed the closer you are in relation physically to both the Vatican and Israel, the closer you are to just having more people celebrating both Christmas and Hanukkah. But
right.
I could be wrong.
And well, that's the thing too, is Doctor Who has the Christmas special. Okay, so most of the people who write for the thing and who have created the thing, they all celebrate Christmas. They probably don't think about Hanukkah. But you know
Probably
what?
not.
They should have a Doctor Who
Hanukkah special. I would be happy with a Doctor Who Arbor Day special. That's all I'm asking. If Charlie Brown can do it, so can Doctor Who.
The TARDIS disguises itself as a tree. And
Aww. Thanks for the questions, huh?
Yes, thank you very much.
And there you have it, the wonderful fan question section of the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard it here first. The two dudes from Gallifrey answering all of your burning questions. We'll see you next time. Yay!
Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. Santa's got the doctor now, and doctor's gonna pay. Hey!
Hey!
At least he's in good hands with Mr. Frost.
Yes. Well, you guys, we hope you enjoyed it. It was a great 2014.
A wonderful 2014.
It was. And we hope you all are enjoying your holiday season this year. And Matt and I, we're going to keep working on these monthly podcasts and getting them out to you next year. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be great.
It really is. And you know what? We have the full authority to keep going forward. Unless something crazy happens, like not having money to run our podcast, man, I think we're going to be good going into the next 10 years. So,
yeah. You need money for a podcast, right?
We haven't spent any money, Taylor.
No.
Sorry. I don't know what you're talking about. I do all the books, so nobody knows. Hey, guys, one more thing, real quick. Gather around the fireplace real quick with me. I just want to give a little holiday message, a little holiday cheer to everyone. Happy holidays to you and yours at home. Be it a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, a festive Kwanzaa, a wonderful solstice, or even Life Day. I just want to tell you, from our heart and our home to yours, whatever you do, don't blink. Because they're out there, the weeping angels, and they will kill you. Okay, good. That was
sour.
What? No, I was positive. I was giving him a present. Hey guys, we've had a wonderful time. I'm gonna go take a shower. You have a wonderful 2015, and we'll see you here very soon.
Happy holidays, everyone. And God bless us, everyone.
Reminds me of those midgets. Still hurt. Oh,
man. Oh, my eye. All right, bye, everyone.
See ya.
Voices from the Vortex is written, edited by, and starring Taylor.
This is Gallifrey, calling the podcast TARDIS. Come in, TARDIS. This is the director, and I command you to respond.
Hey, Matt, there's something happening in the control room. I think you should come take a look.
Oh, hey. Yeah. Let me grab a towel.
Come in, podcasters. This is... Oh, there you are. Glad you could take time out to talk to your boss.
Boss?
You caught me at a bad moment, Director.
Matt, will you please put on some clothes? That towel is not appropriate.
Matt, what's going on? Who is she?
Ah, yes. Well, so I never actually told you how we got our broadcast license, did I?
You said you won it in a game of cards.
Yeah, I did. But rule number 1, Matt usually embellishes.
Matt, what did you do?
This is the director. She's in charge of the Gallifreyan News Network.
You're in charge of GNN?
Yes, and the Voices from the Vortex, which is a program on the GNN.
She's our boss, Taylor.
Oh, have I mentioned how much I'm enjoying season 12 of Sherlock?
Yeah, it's gotten a lot better since they built that robot of Cumberbatch.
How could you even tell the difference?
I've contacted you to inform you that your podcast license has been revoked by the Gallifreyan Broadcast Council. Your program's being terminated.
What?
Yeah, as it turns out, your little podcast has failed to bring in expect any profits. It's actually ended up costing us. I have endless receipts here for elephants, buckets of jello, a beauty pageant sash sized perfectly for a cyber king.
So that's how we afforded all those hijinks.
Suffice it to say, you are to shut down your podcast immediately, return your TARDIS to Gallifrey, and resume your jobs as the local clown school instructors.
Wait, boss, hold on. Can I make a suggestion?
No, it's a terrible idea to train Daleks to juggle.
Not that!
The decision has already been made. There's no reason to discuss this any further.
Just wait a minute, okay? Look, if we could pay back all of our expenses, would that cover the cost of keeping us going another year?
Matt, we spent almost $100 million on the shenanigans. How could we come up with that kind of money?
Yes, I'm also interested in hearing your solution.
2 words. Telethon!
Matthew Whitecamp.
With Danielle Davidson as the sexy voice of the TARDIS.
Visit our website, www.broadcastgallifrey.com.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel for an enhanced podcast experience.
Follow us on Twitter @Vortex Podcast.
Like us on Facebook.
Follow us on Tumblr and Google+.
Subscribe to us on iTunes, and if you like what you heard, leave a review.
Ask us a fan question through any of these media, and we'll answer it on the podcast.
Thanks for listening, and stay tuned to the Vortex.